In today's news, St. Vincent imports a case of COVID-19 from the BVI, and HLSCC is hosting their first virtual graduation.
Jos Van Dyke on lockdown amidst COVID-19 exposure. All this and more when 284 News returns.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting. For people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
A pleasant welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday, July 21st, 2020. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. A terrific Tuesday to each and every one of you. We are coming to you, as usual, from the British Virgin Islands.
Yes, quite an unprecedented time, viewers. A lot going on in our territory and across the world. Of course, we're going to bring you all the details today, beginning with the fact that the Ministry of National Security in St. Vincent and the Grenadines has confirmed 15 new cases of the coronavirus, one of which allegedly came from the British Virgin Islands. Now, that was confirmed by a document sent to our newsroom last Sunday, that is July 19th. Now, viewers, this information was further verified by Health Minister Honorable Carvin Malone. Listen in.
Pleasant good evening. I extend warm greetings to everyone in the Virgin Islands and abroad. In fulfillment of our commitment to keep the community informed and updated on COVID-19 developments, I wish to report that the government of the Virgin Islands was officially informed on Saturday, 18th July, that an airline passenger who traveled from the territory to St. Vincent and the Grenadines through St. Lucia on Wednesday, 15th July, was swabbed on arrival in St. Vincent and subsequently reported as positive for COVID-19. To be clear, this individual was not tested in the BVI and was therefore not previously suspected or known to us as an active COVID-19 case.
That was on Sunday evening. Now, the minister further stated, quote, "To be clear, this individual was not tested in the BVI and not previously suspected or known to us as an active COVID-19 case." End of quote. Now, viewers, based on this information, the local health authorities have been deployed to investigate, beginning with active contact tracing for persons who may have interacted with the victim in question. According to the minister, those persons will be tested and quarantined. Now, according to the official press release sent to us from St. Vincent, dated July 19, 2020, it says, quote, "2 new flights have also been detected during the exit screening. These cases are under investigation. 1 new COVID-19 case arrived on another airline from the British Virgin Islands. All active cases are in isolation." End of quote. Now, viewers, St. Vincent and the Grenadines currently has confirmed about 15 active cases and 4 preliminary confirmed cases. Of the 44 total, 19 are now active with 29 recoveries and 0 deaths. Now, a lot has happened and major decisions coming out of that revelation, Ron, some of which I believe you have the details on.
Most definitely, I certainly do. Continuing on the local scene, official reports received from the Cabinet of the Virgin Islands Gazette have confirmed that measures have been taken effective today, July 21st, 2020, by the government of the Virgin Islands on the sister island of Jos Van Dyke, Tortola BVI. Now, these measures are as a result of the exposure to COVID-19 on Jos Van Dyke BVI. Now, the document states, and I quote, "The minister, in exercise of the powers conferred under Section 13 of the Public Health Act, Cap. number 194 makes this order. This order may be cited as the Public Health COVID-19 Control and Suppression Measures Act, Jos Van Dyke, Order 2020. This order shall come into force on the 21st day of July 2020, which is today, for the purpose of guarding against, preventing, or mitigating the spread of COVID-19 and the probate consequences associated with the detection of COVID-19 in a person residing or visiting in Jos Van Dyke. The minister, on the recommendation of the Health Emergency Operations Center, directs the measures as specified in the schedule to this order to be implemented. Now, the schedule is as follows. All persons visiting or residing on the island of Jos Van Dyke shall be quarantined for a period of 7 days for 24 hours a day from Tuesday 21st of July at 1 a.m. until 5:01 a.m. on the 28th of July 2020, subject to such conditions as stipulated in the Health Emergency Operations Center guidelines. For the purposes of subsection number 1, no person shall be on the streets, and every person shall remain confined to their place of residence, inclusive of their yard space, for the period specified in that subsection as well. No person or vessel shall travel to or from Jos Van Dyke except with the permission of the Minister of Health and Social Development, in consultation, of course, with the Joint Task Force comprising of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, HM Customs, and the Immigration Department. Any person who is residing or has visited Jos Van Dyke shall be subject to robust contact tracking and also COVID-19 community testing by the Ministry of Health and Social Development and the BVI Health Services Authority, made by the Minister this 21st day of July. Now, I want persons to pay attention to that last article. As we continue, we're going to make reference to it. Now, ever since, Jovan, we broke the news, and early this morning, the story, residents of the Virgin Islands, particularly those on Jos Van Dyke, have begun voicing their concerns. One resident, in speaking to our newsroom, said, and I quote, "What's fascinating is that most people don't have food. We were given no notice, just going to the dock and seeing the boat turn around." Now, here are the facts. It has also been alleged that the COVID-19 carrier was also on Tortola for a few days. What threat does this pose to the main island of Tortola and its residents? In addition to that, our newsroom can confirm that Leader of Government Business, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, as photoed above, was in Jos Van Dyke. Now, the Honorable Premier took to the House of Assembly today denouncing claims that he was in any way in contact with the COVID-19 carrier. However, Jovan, this is quite interesting because despite the fact that he was just on Jos Van Dyke for a few hours, he, as stated, he is now saying that he was not in any direct contact with that person. At the end of the day, what we see is the entire island of Jos Van Dyke is being shut down because they were, whether directly or indirectly, in contact. Correct, just happened to be there. And now you're saying, Honorable Premier, that this has nothing to do with anything. You were just there for a few hours and you do not pose a threat, which is very interesting. At the end of the day, I think we have to set an example and to set precedents. But continuing on, the COVID-19 carrier was again alleged to be in the BVI, so persons are concerned now as to whether or not that poses a threat to us here locally on the main island of Tortola. Now, continuing on, what does that mean for Tortola residents? Are we all not under the same threat? And does the entire government caucus then go into quarantine, as the Premier himself was also on Jos Van Dyke? Many persons have come out and made statements regarding the situation, namely Commissioner of Police Michael Matthews, who said, and I quote, "Colleagues, this is the official order for your information. I am advised that the Ministry of Health will be coming to Jos Van Dyke today and that a further announcement will be made from there. I recognize how unsettling this will be for the community, and we are getting ready to send additional police officers to support you." In addition, Governor Jaspert, in an official statement, said, and I quote, "We hope to test every individual who lives on Jos Van Dyke." And on the issue of food and supply, adding, and I quote, "We recognize this curfew has come without notice, and individuals living on Jos Van Dyke may not have had a chance to stock up on supplies. Please be assured that you will not be left without. The government will be providing food and other essential supplies throughout the curfew." Now, with that stated, Jovan, a few points to consider here. One resident gets infected, and we essentially immediately turn them and anyone they may have come in contact with into a social exile. All of this over one case. Have our officials not heard of the concept of proportional response? Is the high level of paranoia that now looms over the Virgin Islands once again warranted? And are the measures to lock down Joss Van Dyke a bit erroneous? Is the BVI really going to try to separate from the rest of the world for the unforeseeable future? These are the present state of affairs here in the Virgin Islands, viewers, and lots of questions.
Lots of valid questions and concerns, Ron. Like you said, social exile, I think that really brings everything into context when we consider the approach. Yes, what we're doing as a government and as a territory is protecting residents, and health is of paramount importance. But what we see these decisions continue to do is cripple the economy and really affect people's lives and their livelihood. One of the things I recognize is we're creating an environment of fear, and I think we really have to look around the world and examine not just how this pandemic is affecting other persons across the world, but really not feeling like we need to reinvent the wheel with a lot of things. And I know our management styles are different, and it has to be personalized to each individual environment. But what we've seen, even with the previous case, the Filipino woman that died, is there was, the territory was stink of discrimination. We chastised that woman. And what we're doing is we're creating an environment where persons are essentially afraid to come forward even if they are sick. And while we continue to do that, it's almost like a bystander, because the premier is saying, I was there for a short minute. But what about the other residents who wasn't even in close proximity, whose lives are now essentially affected by what's happening by this decision? Additionally, last evening, a decision was made late in the evening before persons were even notified of this decision. They woke up this morning to a new curfew order. I just think it's a bit aggressive, and I think it could be a bit insensitive, and we really have to be a bit more inclusive and holistic in our thinking and our way of going about handling this pandemic, because clearly it's not necessarily working.
Well, as you said, Jovan, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Many models, Caribbean-wise, have been taken, and I think we can use that as an example, many of them, as we try to reintegrate. But at the end of the day, we cannot continue to just stay in exile and pretend that we are going to be excluded from the rest of the world. I don't think that's a realistic approach. In addition to that, we definitely, it's almost a case where you are free to get sick.
Yes.
Whether it's COVID or anything.
It's socially unacceptable at this
it's socially unacceptable to get sick. So we definitely will keep you viewers updated on that story. But we want to also encourage our Virgin Islanders and friends, residents who reside here, to continue to stay hopeful, not get into a state of paranoia or frenzy. This too shall pass. Still ahead, Caribbean observes the 25th anniversary of the Soufrière Hills volcano, and so much more.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now we're heading over to the island of Virgin Gorda, one of our favorites, of course. Now the owners of the Virgin Gorda Villa Rentals and Leverick Bay Resort and Marina recently announced the appointment of seasoned tourism and travel industry professional, Mrs. Sharon Flax Brutus, as the Director of Operations. Sharon, who previously served as the Director of Tourism for the British Virgin Islands for more than 7 years, brings numerous years of experience in various sectors of the travel and tourism industry, including 12 years in senior management positions at the Rosewood Little Dix Bay Resort in Virgin Gorda as a travel advisor in Las Vegas, a station manager for American Eagle in the BVI, and overseeing the operations of her family-owned tourism business for several years. Now, within her tenure, she was responsible for the policy making as well as the strategy formulation for the BVI tourism industry, and influential in re-establishing the BVI brand as a discerning travel destination. nation. As the Director of Operations, Sharon will work to enhance the operations of the properties that make up the Virgin Gorda Villa rentals, as well as Leverick Bay Resort and Marina to take them to the next level by providing a more luxury guest experience, paying very close attention to detail, and offering a more personalized guest experience from reservation to rebooking. Now, property owner Miss Christina Yates, who expressed her excitement in Sharon joining the company, stated, quote, "We feel so honored that Sharon has agreed to be a part of our team. Her experience, industry and product knowledge, respect of her peers, and passion for the BVI is a huge asset to us as we launch plans to expand our properties. She is the best person to take our companies to the next level," end of quote. Now, Ron, as we know it, the Virgin Gorda Villas Rentals manages a portfolio of about 20 luxury villas, and Leverick Bay Resort and Marine, of course, a Caribbean paradise. So for sure, Miss Flagsbruder, she has her hands filled, but who better? I mean, she has served this territory, truly charted the way forward as it relates to the tourism product that we've now come to know and love, with a genuine love for hospitality. So without a doubt, we have every confidence that she's going to deliver. So we're sending
Most
hearty
definitely.
congratulations to her in this role.
Indeed. Now, continuing on, a bit of a history segment. On July 18th, 1995, that's 25 years ago, on the Caribbean island of Montserrat, the Soufrière Hills volcano erupted after a long period of dormancy. Over the course of several years, it devastated the island, destroying the capital while forcing most of the population to flee and migrate to the UK as well as the United States and other Caribbean islands. Now, 25 years later, we continue to follow. The Soufrière Hills are an active, complex stratovolcano with many lava domes forming its summit on the Caribbean island of Montserrat. Now, many volcanoes in the Caribbean are named Soufrière as well. These include La Soufrière or Soufrière St. Vincent on the island of St. Vincent and La Grande Soufrière on Guadeloupe. Now, the Soufrière Hills volcano on the Caribbean island of Montserrat began erupting in 1995, and the eruption is ongoing. The activity of the volcano is monitored by the Montserrat Volcano Observation MVO, which was set up to rapidly in response to the eruption in 1995. BGS staff managed the MVO from 1997 to 2008, during which time 2 Montserratians, which I think is awesome, students achieved PhDs in volcanology and started work in the observatory. Having been living in that environment, they then saw it fit to go and study the way volcanoes work, and I think that's excellent. Many research students and scientists from around the world have visited or worked at the MVO. BG is now concentrating on volcanic research and continues to work closely with staff from MVO. Now, we were doing a little bit of a research here. We did reach out to disaster management, and they also spoke about the importance of the historic behind the 25th anniversary. Sometimes persons don't want to remember such tragic events, but here in the Caribbean, I think it's definitely a staple for natural disasters. Now, also, going down memory lane in Caribbean history, on this day, that's July 19th actually, 2002, the one and only Usain Bolt became the youngest male to win a World Junior Championship event. He won the under-20 200-meter race at just 15 years of age. Now, let's just take a look at his remarkable journey through this video. What an extreme, amazing opportunity and example of Caribbean greatness. We continue to support all our Caribbean brothers and sisters who excel, and this video and this story of Usain Bolt serves as a constant reminder that all things are possible. Still ahead, John Lewis, towering figure of civil rights, has died, and the H. Lavity Stoutt Community College to host a virtual graduation on August 2nd. You don't want to miss this. All this and more when 284 News returns.
In the final analysis, we have 2 options. Stay inside and create memories that will last forever, or go outside and say goodbye to those memories. We're not stuck inside, we're safer inside. The time is now to unite, embrace, and love each other from a distance. Show the world and the people in it just how much they mean to you by keeping your distance. It may be difficult, but necessary. Let's reintroduce humanity and heart to all homes. While we can't enjoy the sun, sand, and sea,
let's take this time to remember why we are nature's little secrets. Stay inside, and when it's over, we would all be better, stronger, and we would all still be together. With self-discipline and patience, we can overcome. We are, have been, and will always be VI Strong. A message from your team at 284 Media.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, some news coming out of our tertiary institution, HLSCC. Now, with the coronavirus pandemic also came the transition of our educational system. And of course, viewers, that is no different for us here in the BVI. It was definitely a major shift. Now, with the HLSCC graduation soon approaching, we decided to catch up with the dean, one of the deans at the institution, to speak about this year's process. So listen in. Viewers, with the pandemic came a transition in the education sector as well. Today we are speaking to the dean here at HLSCC. She's going to go ahead and introduce herself to us.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Jasmati Amraj, Dean of Arts, Sciences, and General Studies.
All right. So just like we said, a lot of transition has happened as it relates to education. No different for us here in the BVI with HLSCC. Just speak to the climate generally. How has the college, not just the faculty, but also the students, how has everyone adjusted to this pandemic?
I would say that we've had a pretty good transition. A lot of our students went from the regular face-to-face class, or a few from blended, and we've gone to an online transition, and it has been really good because most of the students were able to still complete their degrees, which is good. We had a very good success rate. So we had a different graduation this year, as you know. We had a drive-through. COVID changed things for everyone. We couldn't gather like we would normally do. So what we did is we had a drive-through where the students would actually come up here, meet with the president, collect their degrees, and they'll be able to exit. One of the things we really wanted to highlight is the fact that students got through this pandemic. It was not easy for the students. It was not easy for the school. And we really needed to celebrate the students. We wanted their supporters here as well. But because we can't have more than 100 people in any one gathering, they were able to bring families. There was a lot of noise, music. It was fun. Our vehicles were decorated. It was a wonderful experience.
Awesome. And I'm hearing as well, this extends to Virgin Garda as well.
Yes, for the first time, we're actually having our graduation on the Virgin Garda Center because normally we'd bring them by boat. So it should be very interesting.
Awesome. So August 2nd, virtual graduation.
Correct.
Speak to the prospects of that and how excited the students must be for this.
The students were actually very receptive. The participation was overwhelming. We expect it to be just as good in Virgin Gorda, maybe even better because it's a smaller community. And it was just a momentous occasion. We even had students shedding tears. You can imagine their joy. Some of the students who've been here since Irma, they had that to deal with. Then they recovered. Then you had the pandemic. And it's been a lot of changes. So it's like the little successes being able to finish and make this one of the milestones in their lives. And we were part of it, a very important part. I think it's been really wonderful.
Awesome. How many students graduated before we wrap up?
About 114.
114.
Yeah, and less than 10 were unsuccessful, but we've done really well. The students, we have to celebrate our students.
Yes, absolutely. And quite a monumental way to capture that experience. Viewers, like she said, last Sunday marked the beginning of this initiative. You'll be seeing the video soon enough on the screen, where our graduates basically had the opportunity to drive up and collect their degrees, greeted by the president, of course, of HLSCC. They had a drive-through, and then on August 2nd, we'll be able to view the virtual proceedings live via HLSCC's page. Again, over 100 students graduating. I know it's certainly unconventional in this time we're living in. And it might be unpopular for a lot of persons as we consider the fact that we're beginning to open up to some level of normalcy with that limits being lifted to 100 persons. Yes. We're still pushing for conventional graduation. However, we see the ministry holding steadfast to their decision to let it be virtual. But nevertheless, we just want to say congratulations. I think a graduation is one of those things we look back on and
Absolutely.
we're able to recognize as one of our greatest milestones. So I just think it's monumental
Yes.
that we're nevertheless able to capture it, especially living through this pandemic.
And we are definitely in graduation season. Many other schools have been able to host their graduation, so we want to wish all students across the territory hearty congratulations. Now on to our last story. Representative John Lewis, a son of sharecroppers and an apostle for nonviolence, who was bloodied at Selma and across the Jim Crow South in the historic struggle for racial equality, and who was then carried a mantle of more authority into Congress, died on Friday, July 17th. He was 80 years of age. Mr. Lewis, a Georgia Democrat, announced on December 29th that he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer and vowed to fight it with the same passion with which he had battled racism injustice. He said at that time, and I quote, "I have been in some kind of fight for freedom, equality, basic human rights for nearly my entire life." Now, on the front lines of the bloody campaign to end Jim Crow laws, with blows to his body and a fractured skull to prove it, Mr. Lewis was a valiant stalwart of the civil rights movement and the last surviving speaker from the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963. More than half a century later, after the killing in May of George Floyd, a black man in police custody in Minneapolis, Mr. Lewis welcomed the resulting global demonstrations against police killings of black people and more broadly against systemic racism in many corners of our society. He saw the protest as a continuation of his life's work. Through his illness had left him to be able to watch on the sidelines. He said it was very moving to see hundreds of thousands of people from all over America and around the world take the streets to speak up, speak out. Let's get into it. What I call good trouble. Now, this was a famous statement that Mr. Lewis often said because as a kid, his mother would say to him, "That's trouble, that's bad trouble, don't go into the whites-only bathroom," and so on. But as he got older, he echoed the sentiment of good trouble because he looked forward to fighting for his rights. Now, he said, "This feels and looks so different," he said, of the Black Lives Matter movement, which drove the anti-racism demonstration. "It is so much more massive and all-inclusive," he added. "There will be no turning back." He died on the same day as did another civil rights stalwart, the Reverend C.T. Vivian, a close associate of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Mr. Lewis's personal history paralleled that of the civil rights movement. He was among the original 13 freedom riders, the black and white activists who challenged segregation in the South in 1961. He was the founder and early leader of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which coordinated lunch counter sit-ins. He helped organize the March on Washington, where Dr. King was the main speaker on the steps of Lincoln Memorial. Mr. Lewis demonstrated racially segregated restrooms, hotels, restaurants, public parks, and swimming pools, so much more. A lot of the things that Americans are able to benefit from today. This man was a stalwart, and he was known as the conscience of Congress. He served for 33 years in the Atlanta Congress, where he just absolutely fought. He was able to see a lot of amazing things happen in his lifetime, like the inauguration of President Barack Obama, and we are so proud to be remembering him today in our newscast. May his legacy continue to speak for itself.
Definitely, and he was a man of many quotes as well. I'd like to close with one of them. It says, "Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of the day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, some necessary trouble." And what a great quote as we chart our way through a
Indeed.
pandemic. Viewers, we're out of time, but we want to thank you for joining us. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. We'll see you tomorrow. Happy Tuesday, guys. Bye-bye.